we make those arrangements to meet halfway. I get Iris, and I bring her back to my house. She was asleep in the car. It was nighttime. The next day, when we gave her a bath and washed her hair, we saw cigarette burns on her. We saw scabs from her being beaten so bad on the back that it split her skin. And one cigarette burn looked new, and the other one looked like it was kind of older and healing. I immediately took pictures. I have video, I have pictures, conversations with Iris. I have audio recordings. I taped the whole thing.
And I do, not to interrupt you, Christina, I want to let you know we also have seen all of this. We have also heard the conversations with Iris, and we've also read some other reports and things of that nature that back that up. Now, I did just for a second want to go to just real quick with the 2020 order. We have copies of all that. So I know that there was that, they don't talk about that at all. And yes, it's very confusing why San Diego County wouldn't have access to Riverside County when it's so close. But we have that physical order. So she did have sole custody, and they would not enforce it. So I'm sorry, Christina, go ahead.
Right. And I'm really, disgusted with how when you're asking for protection as a victim of violence, you don't get a lot of support. And then the person that's, I'm going to say allegedly, weaponizing the system as his personal tool to further victimize, Iris and Khaila, gets tons of support. Starts a GoFundMe, and this is not his first GoFundMe, y'all. This is not his first GoFundMe. I, personally, have receipts of money that I have sent, and it's a habitual thing, okay? But because I love my granddaughter, wherever she's at, I'm gonna protect and support and provide what I can for her, because that's my grandchild. She's 7, and she can't do it as a 7-year-old child, right? And so this is one that the system has full knowledge of. I have sent them every single thing. I'm writing letters to elected officials. I'm writing letters to police chiefs. I even told the Rutherford County Sheriff's Department, given evidence over and over and over again. And it seems like everybody is brushing the evidence under the rug and just going with what one person's statement. And so even though I don't know where they're at, I know that I am Iris's voice in this time.
Absolutely. And Christina, so just to kind of talk about 2023, right? And when Khaila was finally able to use that custody order, right, to finally get her daughter back. So she takes Iris to Tennessee to be with her because obviously of all the concerns. She's finally able to have her daughter. And she was in school and all of this, correct? You want to talk a little bit about that and her being in therapy? And
she also sent an email and notified Anthony about the abuse allegations, that she would be filing a report, and she sent her custody papers and the pictures of Iris's burns and bruises on her back. Okay. I have the email because I was copied in the email, right? And so, all of this happens, and she puts Iris into school. As a matter of fact, we were supposed to have a meeting coming up, because if people understand that with trauma and violence, there's like developmental delays. It causes a child to become developmentally delayed, and that's what we found out when we put Iris in school over there in Tennessee, was that she was actually, so she's supposed to be like in 2nd grade, but she's only at a preschool level. And even sometimes when she was talking, her speech would be very delayed, or she'd sound like a baby or whatever. And so we were trying to get her all of the service and supports that she needed through the IEP process, started that process. I know, the organization National Action Network was there in person with Khaila at the meeting. I was on the virtual chat so that I could give some history that I knew. And then Iris was also in therapy because she needed a lot of support. She needed a lot of help, and she will continue to need a lot of support and services.
Absolutely. And I'm glad that she was getting that, right? But now you guys were looking at this as, she takes her there. She's trying to help her. He was aware where she was. This is not, again, I just, in my opinion, when you see this story without any of the other context, it looks as if Khaila just took her, right? And she just took off and she didn't have anything to do with her or any of that. And that's not the case. Now, not only that, he did go and file for custody again in San Diego County. He was granted that towards the end of 2023. However, she was never advised of this. Now, from my understanding, Christina, they served an address in California knowing she was in Tennessee, correct?
Yes.
So again, they serve her in California, right? She doesn't know. He gets this by default. And then there's an investigation opened, and we have copies of that investigative report, you guys. There's many, many pages. I have read through the report multiple times. Now, any allegations against Khaila were completely unfounded. The allegations Christina just told you, they are what they call inconclusive, but those are two different things. All that means is that basically they need more, right, to go off of. But in that report, Iris does talk about the owies that she receives from her father. She does talk about the burns that she doesn't know, from a cigarette. She doesn't know, technically why they were there or why it happened, but that she received them. She talks about, having food withheld. And Christina, if I'm correct, you talked to me about the fact that she was actually like hiding food, correct? After she went back.
When I got her, she was always saying, "I'm so hungry. I'm so hungry." And after a while, as a parent and a grandparent, I start making observations like, "Well, you couldn't be hungry because we just ate." And I noticed she wanted to hoard food, or she always wanted to make sure that she was going to eat. And
And
so,
that's very common,
right.
in these types of situations.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I knew it was because something had happened to her, of course, but not only with her getting burned and beaten, but there had to be a food issue here. So I started asking her, and I know that, she was like, I would eat at school. And if we had food at home, I would eat at home, right? That's what she told me. And so I tried to work with her on, just making her understand that she's with Grammy now. You're going to be safe. I'm going to protect you. And I started filing child protective services reports. I reached out to the Health and Human Services Department. I reached out to the local police. I did all of that, and nobody